relatively new, one year within being opened up, and obviously we got the old charmer here. Found its way home, so I appreciate you having us here and opening up the doors to us and hosting us. Thank you to all of you for coming out and spending some time with us. We just left Benton from a town hall there, coming here, and I apologize for the jeans and the kind of the casual look, but we were over in Dryden this morning with one of our opponents, their boss, was in the parade, and we got drenched, very wet this morning. But we had a great turnout. There were a lot of people there.
Yeah,
that was exciting. It was nice.
Surprising.
A lot of smiles even participating with the kids on the side in the wet weather. But so we do these town halls on a regular basis. We try to get out as much as possible. I think our stated goal is 75 that we put in the business plan when we opened up, went down to Washington and started representing the 29th Congressional District. And we're on track to get that. I think we're in the mid-60s right now, and we will definitely surpass that number, no doubt in my mind. Because we have a great team that we're working with in the office. Just want to introduce our team if we could. Why don't you go around? Drew, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Drew Wayne, the legislative assistant with Tom.
Yeah. Bill Napier?
Bill Napier, I work out of Tom's Pittsburgh office on community engagement.
Allison?
Allison Hunt, I work out of the Corning office.
Yeah. So we got those guys, and so if there's anything we could ever do, or if you have any questions or issues or need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You know, the 29th Congressional District, we have offices up in Pittsburgh, down in Corning, and out in Olean. And you know, with redistricting, just kind of a public service announcement here, Hopewell is still going to be in the district, right, under the new maps? But we're going to lose the western side of Ontario County. That's going to go to the 27th district, right, Bill?
Yeah.
All right. So everything from Hopewell over to Geneva, and then Seneca County, Tompkins County, they'll be in the 23rd Congressional District going over to Chautauqua County along the southern tier. So that's kind of the future dynamics of where things are going. But, you know, usually in the beginning, I just got back from Washington yesterday, came home last night, had the parade today, and a couple town halls and a couple things tonight. But right now, we're kind of in a phase of Washington that is extremely frustrating to me, because it's as if a lot of these guys think they got elected for a year and 2 months, and then they can go on a campaign. I was elected for 2 years, and I'm very frustrated in the sense that there's probably not a lot legislatively that's going to happen between now and November. That could be good news from some folks' perspective. But it's really a shame that this time that we need to be working on issues such as the economy, creating jobs, getting people back to work, getting the debt under control. You know, we're just losing that time because we're more focused on campaigning, these guys think, than doing the job. So, but it's the reality of what we're dealing with, and that's where we're at, and we'll just continue to be a voice to push it forward as soon as possible. You know, what's going on in Washington, but from November to January, I will say, you may have heard about this fiscal cliff, Tax-mageddon that's coming down the pipeline. There is so much policy in America right now that is on a short-term extension or expiration path to January 1st. What I mean by that is the tax code, that's 70,000 pages of legislation, expires at the end of the year primarily. You have sequestration, which is that $1.2 trillion worth of cuts going into effect in the beginning of early January. You have unemployment that's only been extended to the end of the year. You have how our doctors get paid under Medicare going to the end of the year. So there are tremendous amounts of policy that's expiring. And what that's going, I look at it as an opportunity because with it expiring, there are going to be things that we have to do between November and December. So if they're not willing to do the work now, then at least November to December, they're going to have to move some things. So I just look at it as an opportunity to really try to attack some fundamental issues long term. But really, that's what's going on in Washington. We're doing the appropriations process in the House right now. That's the spending bills, if you would, of the discretionary side of the budget. It's up in this area, just this piece And that's what the continuing resolutions, if you're familiar with, the government shutdown, it's really up in this piece that that's all related to. And that's really problematic because there's so much of the federal government that we should be dealing with outside of that piece, but it's just the nature of the beast, and it's very frustrating to be involved with it at this point in time. So, you know, I could go on and on and on, and I don't know if we're going to do the written question. We got a small group. We can do it without the written questions. Okay. A lot of times we do written questions because we've had a lot of people travel from afar, and they're like, we just covered only one or two issues that allowed us to cover a lot more area, but I think we'll be able to open it up and have a real free-flowing conversation here today. So, with that, I'm all ears. I'm here to listen, and really, I'm really interested in how we're going to create jobs, what your input on how we can strengthen the economy, because that's the number one issue that we're focusing on. And we hand out a pamphlet that's in our business statement, mission statement, that focuses on what I think are the 4 priorities for dealing with our job situation. And it's attacking the debt to make sure we have confidence and certainty in America again. We do comprehensive tax reform. That thing's a mess. It needs to be simplified. It needs to be broader. It needs to be fair. It needs to be really struck down from its 70,000 pages to something that's much more coherent and competitive. We focus on regulatory reform because I'm seeing regulations come out of Washington. It's bigger government mentality. I don't share that mentality. I think federal government is a limited federal government. It's envisioned in our Constitution, and we think the more we can downsize the government, the stronger we're going to be long term, and that will strengthen the economy because you're not bogging down small business America and the job creators with all these regulations coming out. And the 4th thing we are committed to is a comprehensive energy policy, and all of the above, all in type of policy where every source of energy needs to be put into a comprehensive plan that we join hands on, coast to coast, north to south, and ultimately, hopefully, energy independence is the ultimate goal. But as we do that, we create the power source for the economic rebirth of America and our industrial manufacturing sectors in particular. So that's what we focus on. That's what we spend a lot of time on. And with that, I'll open it up. Anyone have anything?
How about the windmills?
Windmills. Yeah. What about them?
Aren't they a good source of energy?
They are.
And I heard so many people. I mean, I'm for them.
Okay.
You know, and I don't understand why people are not. It drives me crazy. I'd much rather see those things than all the wires and big transformer things hanging around.
Yeah, when we say all of the above, I truly mean all of the above. I mean, it's everything. And how I look at it in my mind, in my thought process, is that this policy needs to be short-term, mid-term, and long-term. And by that, we need to recognize that hydrocarbons, fossil fuels, is part of our economic way of life in America. So things like domestic natural gas, domestic oil, need to be part of that portfolio. But at the same time, all of the alternative and renewable energies, such as wind, solar, geothermal, biomass, all of that needs to be maximized to the extent that it can to be part of the energy portfolio going forward. And we have been supportive of policies that are committed to that. We see things like laser fusion going on right here at University of Rochester, partnership with Livermore. Got a report that came across the desk about a year ago about how they're going to potentially go to a prototype power generation facility in 2020 with laser fusion. I mean, we get to fusion, not fission, not nuclear fission. We're talking nuclear fusion. That is, all the other conversations get wiped away because that's a true boundless, endless supply of energy going forward. And they say they have the ability to get there. So, you know, that's the long-term vision that we got to have as the ultimate goal, but be practical in getting there.
Right.
So that's what we've been supportive of. But I'll tell you, you know, we've had numerous conversations with folks on the energy issues and the windmills and the wind turbines. There's some legitimate debate about how much you subsidize them to make them economically viable, and that's a discussion point that I see that debate. But then you get into the environmental impacts and the people that are concerned, you know, about the bats and the migratory birds and things like that, and they shouldn't be put up because they're killing the birds and the bats. And you know, I just think there's ways we can mitigate any of those environmental here are sensitive to are the aesthetic impacts. It's an impact on the view sheds around the Finger Lakes, around Howard, where one went up over there. Allegheny County is going through, not Allegheny, Cattaraugus County is going through one right now, where that's a big issue. But it was interesting. We did some research years ago, and if you look at some of the case law that came up, some decisions or articles when the electric grid was going in, you jogged my mind when you said the wires. A lot of the objections to the electric grid when the rural electrification programs were into place, like the Tennessee Valley Authority and the rural electric networks of the grid, people were raising the exact same arguments they're raising with wind turbines. And they were saying, oh, it's gonna change the landscape. It's not gonna be the same place that I wanted to go and get my peace and quiet to. And it's funny because, I don't know about you, but when I drive down the road and I see a new power line going up, I just don't see it. I mean, it blends into my norm. And I think 20, 30 years from now, I think a lot of people that are concerned about the aesthetic impact today may be saying the same thing. But no, I don't see it.
But they're not noisy, are they? And we've driven over to or not Howard.
Cohocton?
Yeah.
Cohocton, yeah.
But they're not noisy though. I mean, not to drive by them.
We have sat right on. We've gone over and done we've sat right on the base of a bunch of them. I mean, you hear that whoosh every once in a while, whoosh going around. But the noise impact, I haven't experienced it. Now, some people say when they fail, when they're not working properly, they will generate some noise. But my understanding is that if they're producing that type of noise level, they're not producing energy. And the telemetering that goes on with them, where they're reporting constantly to the monitoring stations, that they immediately get out there and shut them down and fix them because it's not economical. So, but that's the counter. There's every issue has a counterpoint, and we just try to educate ourselves and try to make the most informed decision we can. What else we got going on? Well, this is going to be a great town hall meeting. I mean, not to drag you out. I mean, there's a lot going on this Saturday. Now, what grade are you in? Where are you from? Third grade. Okay. And then where do you go to school? Canandaigua. So what's the biggest issue in the third grade class in Canandaigua? When summer starts? How many more days of school you got left? I have 11 and 13-year-old at home, and they have like a big calendar. There's only 7 school days left between now and the end of school. And 2 of those days, my son tells me, is a wasteful day, a field day, and then cleanup day. So they're saying, why do we even have to go to those 2 days? So, well, hopefully summer will come earlier. And I get your vote if I make no school for all of June, July, August, September. Good. How are things in the fire department? How are the issues going on with? I know you had some issues here locally with the VA and the city. I don't want to put you on the spot here and say something about
no. I mean, I guess we really haven't had any major issues with that. We took over some of the district that Canandaigua originally had as a town contractor with. The organization is here because of that ladder truck, so that we could protect the cows better, obviously, Lowe's, Walmart, that's all in the town of Hopewell. Okay. So those, we basically put a plan in place once we took over that district, and that's why we're where we are today.
Things are working out well.
Our biggest issue is obviously, as I mentioned, the Department of Labor issue, dealing with that and that lawsuit. That right now is keeping us from department. I mean, we spent $40,000 just on lawyer fees, fighting with regard to they're saying that we need to pay prevailing wage on this building, being a not-for-profit corporation, being our own entity, not tied to the town. So that's our biggest issue right now. That's what we're dealing with. So,
when do you anticipate that to be resolved? All that
that case, according to our lawyer, Brett Pinsky, it was said that they had, because that is at the highest level right now.
Okay, it's the Court of Appeals.
Yep, it is the Court of Appeals. And that was introduced in February, March timeframe. And he said the other day when I saw him that we should be hearing it any time. I guess the judge has heard the case. And that's so much different than our case. We've never been a part of the town, whatsoever. Where down there, they did some finagling with to get interest rates, and they went back to the town. They're in the village.
Okay.
And they came back to it, so there was some shuffling. We're clean. We never had any of that. So, and there's been the law has never changed. The rules have never changed. We just have a commissioner in there whose opinion has changed.
Gotcha.
Because there's other fire departments who have gone through the same thing we have gone through, and they've said, that's right, it doesn't apply to you. Now, we're the ones that we're having to set the stage for the entire state, and we're the ones having to pay for that. So
how much more cost are you talking about? I mean, I know the $40,000 for the attorney fee, but what are we talking?
We're talking, according to everything I've read, it's about 32% of the labor. So we took the labor out of the equation and took it down 32%. We're talking about an additional $200,000 that we'll have to pay.
$200,000.
We'll have to pay for this building, which I don't know where that's coming from. So that's why we're fighting it.
In the federal government, we got $15.8 trillion of national debt, so I don't know if we're going to be able to try and check for it. But stay in contact with us, and we'll just continue to work together.
I guess the other question I have for you is the Assistance to Firefighters Grant. Obviously, every year we always seem to get that notice out from FASD, the Association, Firemen's Association, saying, we're going to cut that budget. So I always send in a letter saying, no, don't cut that, please.
Yeah.
I see that just passed.
There's been an overall. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I see that just passed on the House.
Yeah, no, not the Senate. Coming out of the House. And there's some issues. I mean, because we are $15.8 trillion national debt. So, but what I do see bipartisan support for, and we've been supportive of it, is making sure that law enforcement, firefighters are protected as we go through this. But the problem that it's generating is we got $15.8 trillion of national debt. So it's putting us in a position where we have to actually have the conversation of our firefighters, our police officers being put on the table because we just can't pay the bills anymore. And that's the real problem of this national debt. And it really is a crisis. And it's a crisis in the sense of people don't feel it yet, but it's coming. If we just continue to do the status quo and just maintain the status quo, it will come, and then the next thing that's going to happen is everybody feels it. And we feel it in a moment's notice overnight. And that's what keeps me up at night. I mean, it really does. One thing that really does, and I should have probably outlined that, is the pie chart here of what we spend in the federal government, $3.6 trillion. One thing that really concerns me is this interest piece. $221 billion is what we pay on that $15.8 trillion worth of debt. And that's being paid out at about 1 to 2%, somewhere in there, primarily. If that goes up to a 7-8% number, you're talking about having to come up with about another $700 billion. And if that happens overnight, that is a true currency crisis. That is a true debt crisis. Because, just to put it in perspective, we spend on defense $703 billion. All defense spending in America. So you got to come up with essentially an equivalent amount of that if we just go to interest rates of 7 to 8%. And that, Paul Ryan's a good friend, and we serve on Ways and Means Committee with him. And love him or hate him, this is what he's talking about when he's talking about the crisis that's out there, that we as elected officials need to be open-minded about and recognize, and we as a nation need to come together to try to solve long term. And it's that crisis. It's what's going to happen when that occurs. And as we go further in the hole at $1.3 trillion every year, it gets worse. It doesn't get better. So I know it's not good news, but I'm just trying to be straight with you. And that's where we got to make sure we stand for the right thing. We stand with the vets. I've told people that being the son of a career military officer, 20 years in the Army, We were always tough. Stand with the vets. They earned it. Take care of them. And that's why Canandaigua VA is very important to me. We've been up there numerous times. Bath VA is extremely important to me. And we have a dedicated staffer, Doc Schmitz. All he does is veterans work. So if anybody has any type of bureaucratic red tape problem with the VA, give us a call. We have dedicated staff to that issue. But this endless national debt problem is putting all of these lines into jeopardy. And all we can do is try to avoid it as much as we can and solve the problem long term. So. All right, I won't bore you anymore, but go ahead.
At the state level, there's obviously some talk about the decriminalization of marijuana.
Yeah.
And trying to, has there been any talks, thoughts, anything of legalization of marijuana on the national level in order to have it generate income and cut down on law enforcement expenses?
Law enforcement, yeah. There has been some, but I think it's part of that larger debate that's going on that you're seeing in the state arenas. I don't support legalization of it. I think the downsides to it is a controlled substance and a substance that can be abused. Just haven't seen where going down the path of decriminalization isn't that benefit. But it's a debate that's out there, but in the level of priorities, it's not high on the debate list. But I try to tell people where I feel and how I'm representing you, so we may disagree on that issue or whatever, but with 700,000 plus people, I know I'm not going to be able to agree 100% with everybody, but we're just going to be straight with people. Yeah, sir.
Tom, my name is Earl Police. I listened in on your own meeting, was it last night?
A couple nights ago, we had a townhall. Yeah.
45 minutes. And it was very, very interesting to hear the questions from Geneva, from different places that they asked you, the answers that you agreed, and the answers that you gave them of your, how you thought about it. And I said, my wife, who's that? Just listen. And I stepped there, and I just finished eating an ear of corn. Still picking it out. Yeah. And so if anybody has a chance to listen in on those phone town meetings, I'll tell you, it's worth it. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I really enjoy it. Now, one other thing that this is a little different from what we're talking about, but the Second Amendment, gun rights, and like that. And of course, I'm a member of an NRA, and I imagine there are other people here too. But we got to stop Obama in his radical gun stuff. I personally believe there should be a gun in every home. England, Australia, you know that the crime rate has gone up because the guns are taken away from people. And we got enough gun laws on the table if they were enforced. Some could even be deleted. But I am sure that you are for protecting the Second Amendment.
Yeah, to me, it's an individual fundamental right, the Second Amendment protections, and we stand with them. And NRA, like member, Scope, like member. Growing up in Steuben County,
yeah.
Deer, especially opening day of deer season, that's a national holiday. That shuts down the whole county. But yeah, we're with you.
I did want to comment on that.
But I appreciate those. We find those town halls. We're using them as a resource to get out and talk to people and supplement. We do a lot of this live stuff, face to face. To represent people, you have to be out there. You got to be having a conversation with me. And I tell my colleagues all the time.
Even though I didn't have a question, I did have that question, but I didn't want to bring it up then because these other questions were important to the people, and I knew you were coming here. But it is real important to listen and see the different questions that people have.
I appreciate it. I promise you we're going to continue to do them, and I think we touched about 37,000 households that night. So the technology is very valuable, and we do believe in getting out there. And if you're going to represent people, I've always firmly believed you got to listen, you got to talk, you got to be out there, and we love this area. So I mean, it's what we do, and we enjoy it.
I was a mayor of the city of Canandaigua for 4 years, and I know I like to get out and talk to people, and that way we found out what people wanted and different things. Your idea and my idea and Jim's idea all put together. Something that I don't like about yours and something, but togetherness, you come out with something good.
Yeah.
And this is what needs to be done in Washington.
I agree. I agree. And we'll continue to try to do that. And being a mayor, you can, as former mayor, you know, we can relate to that. So when you went to Wegmans, like my wife, she always, I still go, and she's like, no, just go in and get the milk. We got to get back home, and it's like an hour and a half later. She's like, where did you go? Well, I ran in the gym, I ran into her.
My wife always said, who did you run into this night?
Yeah. All right. Well, I so appreciate everyone coming out today, and I really do appreciate the fire department opening up their doors. And if anyone's interested in volunteering, right over here is where you can sign up. I got 2 gentlemen right here that are going to join you, right here. Blue and red here.
The gentleman on the end is a founding member of this program.
Oh. You got to be proud of what you see here. This is a beautiful facility. Nice. Well, thank you so much. Well, enjoy the rest of the Saturday, and with that, I guess we'll move to adjourn. Thank you so much. Good luck with the end of school. Study hard. And look, you got cookies, so you'll come back again. Thank you.